attractive from the standpoint of needing to be in a facility for an extended period of time. Let's talk a little bit about how much coverage you should be looking for. I think this is another one of those kind of confusing questions that you run into regarding these policies. Now, for disability and critical insurance, critical illness insurance, it's pretty straightforward. You want coverage to retirement. You want coverage to pay for all items currently in your budget. And by, in your budget, I mean necessary items in your budget. Obviously, the vacation line item and some of the other things you really probably don't need to cover. But you want to make sure that you're working with your financial planner, you're working with Debbie and Jim, and you're getting a good handle on what's a critical expense, and then only buy coverage up to that critical expense level. Because insuring for all your monthly spending, you're going to be spending way more out of pocket than you probably really need to. So it's important that you're working with a planner to be able to develop that number that's important to make sure it's covered. You definitely want to get coverage for your own occupation. This is really, I think it's non-negotiable. Especially if you have a professional type job, or you have the type of job where you're in a position where there's a significant amount of income. Because in any OC versus an ON-OC, there's a huge difference between the two, and you really want to look towards your own occupation. And ultimately, you'd probably like to see a non-cancelable guaranteed renewable policy. I know those two names probably seem similar, non-cancelable, guaranteed renewable, but they're actually not. Non-cancelable guaranteed renewable, which are typically called non-can, if you hear that phrase thrown out by somebody, that means that the company cannot cancel your policy and they can't raise your premiums. Okay? A guaranteed renewable policy, they're not going to be able to cancel, but they can raise your premiums. Now, I don't want to make you think it's like your auto insurance, which seems to go up every single year. It has to be reviewed by the state. If the company wants to raise premiums, they can't raise premiums just on you. They have to do it across a class, meaning a specific profession in a specific state. So it's not actually easy for these carriers to increase their premiums, but it is out there. So, perfect world, look for a non-can guaranteed renewable policy. If you can't afford one, guaranteed renewable would be a nice secondary option for you. Critical illness, again, we want to look at coverage to retirement. We're going to look at a broad spectrum of catastrophic conditions. And realistically, there's a limited, you want to make sure that you have limited exclusions and that you really read the fine print. These policies are notorious for having all sorts of exclusions attached to them. And I think that in reality, you want to make sure that you understand what exclusions are there. And by exclusion, I mean something that the policy won't pay for, a condition that the policy won't pay for. So you want to make sure whoever that you're dealing with can really explain to you exactly what's covered and what's not covered, and read the fine print. And then you can make a decision for yourself about whether or not it's something that's it's appropriate for you and your family. Okay, as far as the cost of coverage or the cost of care in California for long-term care, this is what we're focusing on here, and you can read the numbers. Home health aid is currently around $51,000. Assisted nursing 42, nursing home, almost 94,000. And I've attached the inflation numbers as well. Those are what they're reporting it currently growing at. So that's not a rider, if you will, but that's what these numbers are actually growing at over the last 10 plus years. And I just reiterated what I said in the beginning of the presentation here, at the beginning of our talk, that the average at-home need is 4.5 years. The average nursing home stay is 4 years if you make it through the first, and then it jumps to 8+ in the case of Alzheimer's or dementia. So, when you look at these numbers and you think, okay, well, let's look at just 3 years being the minimum. In a nursing home, you're approaching close to $300,000 worth of out-of-pocket if you're retaining that risk of self-insuring. If you end up getting a policy, it's one that that's a pretty typical long-term care policy, is being able to cover anywhere between $250,000 and $500,000 or so worth of coverage. That's another thing to look for. You don't want to overinsure. I mean, I've spoken to peers of mine who they always use lifetime coverage. I'm just not a big believer in somebody spending a tremendous out-of-pocket amount for something that that they'll probably need, but maybe not. So when I look at these policies, I think, how do we insure against the baseline? Let's make sure that we're protecting the family for making a difficult decision. You know, we want to make it as easy as possible. Let's make sure that we're not causing the spouse any undue distress by spending down retirement assets because you have to put the other spouse into a home. You know, and let's just make sure that the coverage is built in a way where it can cover the majority or the average, if you will, of situations. We don't need to assume that everybody's going to need care for 15 years.
Exactly.
So I like to keep the policy. Go ahead, Debbie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Ray, I was just going to jump in and echo what you're saying and kind of circle back to a couple of points that you had made a little bit ago earlier in the presentation. And, you know, you're focusing absolutely appropriately on ensuring that you have appropriate coverage. And that's, you know, and that's really the point that is important to consider. You know, you gave the example of a couple who was in good health in their 60s with the 5% inflation rider for long-term care, and you know, you can see that the premium went from $4,800 down to $2,600 annually, and just by playing with some of these assumptions, and the point that that you're making, and you know, where we can help you from paying too much is to make sure, you know, what are you comfortable with retaining, you know, with, you know, how do we want to share it? Maybe you want to transfer all of it and maybe you don't, but we can, you know, help with coming up with the numbers, what's right, what works within your financial plan. And yeah, there's the slide there that you're talking about. You know, that's in my opinion, that's a huge value add as far as working with somebody like you who gets it, who gets that it, you know, insurance is, you know, one component within a big financial plan, and you know, nobody wants to pay too much for something that they hope they never use, but if they need to use it, they want the right amount. They don't want all of these extra things that, you know, can put them in, you know, theoretically a better financial position simply because they've had the misfortune. But yeah, so Ray, I just wanted to jump in and kind of emphasize that and highlight the point that you're making, and that's, you know, specifically why we've invited you to be on this call today, is because of your approach with that.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, Debbie. I just think that's why everybody in the call needs to recognize that, you know, you can overinsure yourself in any any area of life, and often it's not worth it.
Right.
So
exactly.
I think it's important that you want to make sure that, you know, insurance is such an important part of the financial plan as a whole, but Absolutely. It is a financial plan. We need to talk about, you know, cash flow. I mean, that's what the primary, the function plan is. So, you know, we don't want to have all the cash flow going towards insurance products. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, it goes back to my original statement, you know, the risk avoidance being just lock yourself in a closet. You know, I mean, because that's ultimately what you're doing if you're over, you know, you're locking yourself in a financial closet. And, right. You know, I don't think that that's really necessary. Can we talk, Debbie, a little bit here about how much coverage everyone should need in long-term care?
Yep.
Okay. First and foremost, factor in your elimination periods, and I think this is important. You know, you can really change coverage pretty significantly by looking at 0 elimination periods to 90 days to 180 days. You know, if you're in a situation where you know, you've worked with Debbie and Jim, and they've created the importance of having a you know, emergency fund or a bucket of cash that you can access. That's where you can adjust your elimination period accordingly. And, you know, obviously for long-term care, you know, 6 months of care is very expensive. You know, you look at $40,000 to $50,000. So you really want to make sure that if you're adjusting that elimination period upwards, that the dollar amount change in your premiums is worth it. And whenever you get a long-term care, what we call a quote or an illustration, it's going to show you all the varying elimination periods and how they interact with your premiums. So we can get a good look in a spreadsheet format on how those elimination periods affect your premium and which decision, and make a decision on what's right given, you know, your individual situation. I do like to use some type of inflation rider if the person's really young, you know, people in their 50s especially. I don't necessarily, like I said, if I just call up a company and order without specifying what I'm looking for, they'll give me a 5% compounding for life rider. I don't know if you need to go quite that big. Often an option to purchase or a 3% rider is probably sufficient, and it will keep your costs down pretty significantly. Another option is to consider short pay scenarios. If you have a larger pool of assets than average, these policies do allow you to essentially prepay. So you could pay over, let's say, 10 years and have the policy completely paid for. And then you never have to worry about coming out of pocket again for your coverage. So that can be attractive if somebody has, a little bit more means and financially and would like to pay off the policy more quickly. Again, just only add the benefits that are important to you and your family. You're going to see if you ever saw one of my quote engines, I have 40 choices on every product as to what we can add, and it can make the product very expensive. So when we detail coverage, we want to make sure that we're looking at only the features that are important to the family and to the individual who's being insured. I really try and use only top-rated carriers, and I want them to have a history of long-term care, meaning I want to have some experience there from a standpoint of what do the claims history look like, how long have they been in the business, are they used to processing the claims. It's one thing to have coverage, but you got to be able to get that money. And if the carrier is very difficult to deal with, or they typically reject different expenses and so forth, then it's not a company that I'd really want to deal with. And then last, but make sure the coverage is, recognize that the coverage is for your family as much as it is for you. So make sure your family understands your wishes and what you're looking for. I think that's always important, that you're bringing your family into the big picture, that they understand, what you're trying to do here, and that your coverage is as much for them as it is for you. One last thing on long-term care. I want everyone to understand that long-term care premiums are not fixed, okay? Carriers can raise your premiums, and we do see that from time to time. Typically, it's for policies that have been in force in a long period of time, 10-plus years. Again, just like disability insurance, the state does have to approve it. In addition to the state approving it, you have to make sure that they are, that the increase falls in line with what the state wants to do. Typically, you see, anywhere from 10 to 25% as an increase, but it's normally a once every, 5 to 10 year event. So I don't want you to worry that your premiums are going to go up every year, but at the same time, don't be under the impression that they can't go up, because long-term care premiums can increase through carrier filing. And in addition to that, just recognize that if you do a short pay scenario, it's attractive because you've made all your premium payments, and once you're done making premium payments, obviously the carrier can't raise your premium payments anymore. So there's another attraction there to doing a shorter pay scenario where you get out of that window where the carrier could potentially increase your premium payments.